Okay, everybody, thank you. Yes. I don't know if everybody's been following the news lately, but in the news, there's always good news, there's bad news. A few days ago, I don't know if you guys heard the tragic story of the guy that fell through an upholstery machine. I was listening to the news this morning, I heard that he had a full recovery. Okay, bad joke. Okay, so anything I say from here is good news is going to be better than that poor attempt at humor. So when Mark asked me a couple of months ago to speak at the CX Talks, he asked me to talk about several different things. One is my journey as the host of the Food Network show, Mystery Diners. I don't know if any of you watched the show, and how I developed that show from my business, Mystery Shopper Services, and how I turned that into a national television show. We've gone through 11 seasons, 145 episodes. So he wanted me to share a little bit about that, but then also my personal experience in mystery shopping, and really talk about the relevancy of mystery shopping and the application it has today in the customer service journey in mapping the guest experience, if you will. And so I'm going to share a little bit on that, but he also asked me to share a little bit about the MSPA, Mystery Shopper Professionals Association, which I'm the current president. He also told me I had 10 minutes to talk, otherwise the clowns or the gaff hooks were going to come on stage and yank me off. So I'm going to be paying attention to the clock here, and hopefully I don't run myself out of time. So anyway, I'm going to give you kind of a quick background on my personal experience a little bit, my personal journey. I think that kind of helped a little bit, because what I want to talk about is the relevance of mystery shopping, the application, and what it means today when you're mapping the guest experience. I mean, we're talking about a lot of different ways in the customer journey to really kind of understand, our customer base. I come from a personal background in retail. In my mid-20s, I had bought a small chain of retail stores. It was called House of Almonds. Some of you may or may not have heard of it. It was originally owned by Tenneco Oil, Dole Pineapple, multiple changes through the way, but I ended up buying a few stores in national malls. And my background was in marketing and in promotion business, and so I really didn't have any experience managing employees. So I bought these stores, and then I quickly discovered that employees will lie to you, they'll steal from you, and they'll treat your customers different than you would expect. I don't know if anybody's been in the retail business and understands that side of it, but I quickly discovered that, I needed to do something if my business was going to stay relevant, number one, and two, if we were going to grow, and number three, if I was going to retain some profits, because people will steal you blind if you let them. Doing the television show, I can tell you from the behind the scenes, I saw a lot of crazy things. So what I started doing is I decided, I needed to create a blueprint for my a blueprint for my employees on what I expected from them on the guest experience and from the sales perspective. And so I created this blueprint, and I sat down and I trained all of my employees, and here's what I expected. And I would send in people. At that time, I didn't know mystery shopping existed. I had no clue. I just knew I needed to get some valuable feedback on what was taking place in my stores when I wasn't there. So I started hiring people to come in. They had the forms that they'd fill out, and they'd provide that back to me. And then I would sit down and I would talk to my employees. And sometimes, they get a pat on the back for doing a great job, being part of the service culture that I expected. Sometimes it was a kick in the butt. And other times they got a promotion to the unemployment line, okay? So, but what I started noticing from, really purposely driving a customer service culture was that my customers were happier, they were spending more money, my profits started going up, and my shrinkage started going down. And I had friends that saw what I was doing in my business and said, hey, can you help me in my business? And so I said, sure, let's sit down and talk about what an ideal customer experience might be in your place of business. And so we went through that process, and then I started seeing the success in theirs. And I thought, this is a great business model. There's other businesses out there that could probably use this. I thought I was a genius. I thought I invented mystery shopping. Okay, not the case. But so retail is a very tough business, and eventually I decided, I'm getting out of the retail business, and I started a full-fledged mystery shopping company, if you will. And so I eventually sold stores off, let leases end, and just kind of totally got out of that. Retail is a very tough business. Anybody that's been in it can testify. So anyway, so I started my journey into the mystery shopping world. And one of the things that as I started experiencing different companies and things I was dealing with, let's kind of move on to the next slide here. So how mystery shopping has evolved over the last 25 years. Again, I was in my mid-20s when I had the retail stores. I went through that whole process and kind of developed the customer service culture and went through that process. So I've personally been a consumer. I've relived it myself. Well, let's also talk about the technology changes that affected the market research and CX experience. Now, there's multiple solutions, obviously, for for measuring the guest experience. We got net promoter scores, we got surveys, mystery shopping, exit interviews, focus groups, so on and so forth. There's a lot of ways to measure the guest experience. But let's kind of talk about how the applications are and how it can be used effectively. Well, let's talk about driving profit. Hey, that worked. Oop, I went backwards. Let's go back one. Sorry. Hey, that worked. Trapdoor didn't drop me through it. Well, let's just talk about driving profit, okay? One of the, as all of you know, everybody's been through a fast food drive-through, I'm sure, right? Okay. So restaurants have been using, fast food chains have been using mystery shopping for many, many years for a lot of different applications. For one, understanding the experience, but they also use it for driving profit, okay? So when you go through the drive-through and you order just a hamburger, what are they supposed to do? Do you want fries to go with that? Do you want to have, want to upgrade that to a value meal? Okay, they're always trying to sell that. Well, a restaurant chain understands that if there's suggestive selling, 40% of the time, you're more likely to say, sure, go ahead and upgrade me to that. I'll take the fries, whatever it is. So by using mystery shopping, the shoppers go through the drive-through, they can effectively evaluate, are they actually asking that question? Are they trying to do an upsell? And if the answer to that's only yes, 35% of the time, well, they know they're losing 65% of the market share of potential sales. So an effective tool is to find out, are they actually asking that question and trying to do an upsell? So that's one effective use of mystery shopping that everybody's using. So just that one key point helps them drive profits. Well, let's talk about developing a service culture. Safeway, many years ago, was trying to be the leader in the grocery business. And one of the things they were trying to do is, how do we exceed the guest expectations? And how do we make ourselves better than our competition? So they came up with a rule that was a no-pointing rule. So if a customer walks into the store and they're looking for a bottle of ketchup, okay, and they go to the produce department, the rule was, if I am the employee, somebody asks for the ketchup, I'm stopping what I'm doing, and I'm going to walk that customer to the aisle where the ketchup is. They're no longer allowed to point and say it's on aisle 13. Good luck. Hope you find it. Okay? They had a huge success in that, and so a lot of the other competitors got on board with that. You probably remember some of those stories. So that was how they're kind of driving a service culture. Well, understanding customer perceptions. One of my clients is a fast food chain in the Northeast. They have about 500-600 restaurants. And one of the things, and this was kind of an accidental discovery, if you will, as part of our mystery shopper program we were doing for them, they had somebody in their marketing department had this bright idea. They said, you know what we want to create more value perception to our customers. So what we're going to do is we're going to shrink the size of our French fry box. Okay? So now when the French fries come out on the tray, they put that little piece of paper on the plastic tray, it's going to look like it's overflowing. You're getting an abundant value, right? So we're mystery shopping the stores, and one of the questions on the form was, were the French fries fresh and appealing? Okay? 85, 90% of the time, the shoppers were marking that question no. And putting comments on there that I thought it was unappetizing. I don't want to eat these French fries. Well, my client was actually mad at me. We sat down, we had a conversation. They said, we didn't hire you to tell us that our marketing department, our strategies aren't good. We want the shoppers to stop saying that that's not appetizing, right? Okay, well, here you've got almost 1,800 data points that are telling you 85% of your customers think that is unappetizing. You can go down that strategy, you continue down that road if you want, but I can tell you right now, your real customers are thinking the same exact thing. So we can take the question off the form, we can tell our shoppers to stop answering the question that way, but the problem's going to be, you're going to start losing customer base because they're going to perceive that is unappealing, okay? So they did their own study, okay? They didn't listen to me. Eventually they did, but they came back and said, you know what, you're right. So they had to go back and strategize. Let's keep the French fries in the box because people are saying this is unappetizing, it's unappealing. Now, had they gone down that road for a year and a half, it would have taken a long time for them to maybe recover from that. So that was an accidental discovery just from the point of application of using mystery shopping. Well, understanding your market and your customers. Now, one of my other clients is a an online jewelry company. They have fashion jewelry that they sell through the internet. They have some retail stores. We do a lot of things for them. We do opinion polling, we do market research and study and so forth. But one of the applications that they use consistently for us, whenever they're thinking about design of new items that they're going to put in their store for resale, is we know who their customers are. We know that they're a female, typically 42 to 65 years old. We know what cars they drive, how much income they have. And what we'll do is we'll send to our mystery shoppers pictures of the new jewelry design that they're thinking about implementing, okay? And so from those pictures, they can actually make evaluations of the design, the value, so on and so forth. Ooh, it's beeping on me. I'll be off here in a second. So now they're actually able to make decisions on purchasing that they would normally have to go through the hard way, doing focus groups and so forth, or buying items that don't sell. So anyway, that's it on those. I've only got about 10 seconds left here. The other piece I'm going to talk about is our association. We represent the MSPA. So we have collectively about 140 companies that belong to our association. We do have a booth out there. So if anybody's interested in learning more about, if you're a consumer or somebody thinking about mystery shopping, there's people who'd be happy to talk to you about how you might find a partner. So anyway, that's it. Thank you.